Friday night.
Yep, yep.
And so I was in their live chat for a while, and this guy popped in, this evil Waffles, and he was just chatting and he was asking questions,
Versus,
and
versus normal waffles or good
yeah,
waffles or
yeah,
regular waffles, right?
I guess they're not spoiled though, but
Yeah.
but no, he was asking some questions to Jagged him, and they're dumbasses and didn't watch the chat, so I just typed him his answers and typed the answers because I already knew them. And so we started talking and stuff, and yeah, he's a radio DJ down in Dallas.
Oh, that's
So I've
kind of
been
cool.
watching his feed. Wow, he plays games, just like everybody
Yeah,
else, but he
cool.
has a really nice setup.
Oh, that's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
we need to put in like an, my on my to do list is eventually to get like an overlay for the show, so we have something kind of either something that like if we all do. Apparently, there's a way like if we all do videos, webcam stuff, that I could just use that overlay and then put that into the stuff into the actual OBS,
yeah.
or just
I
something.
have I've done it
I know.
once.
I'm gonna say I seem to remember. I think Middle Finger Bill did it for a while, or maybe he still does. That's basically what
Yeah.
they do.
Oh, come on, what's going on?
We're live, by the way.
Well, hello. I'm trying to get to the Twitch channel right now, actually,
Yeah,
but I'm an idiot.
yeah. I don't have the dashboard up, so
Well, that's all
so
good.
we're just waiting until 9 o'clock and Scott to come online. Get done
Yeah, I
watching.
know.
Get done watching The Walking Dead, I guess. Like, come on, Scott. Where's your priority, Scott? So, did you get the email from Late about the FTP stuff? You should
No,
have,
I did
or
not.
you check your forum account. You probably sent it there as a private message.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't on I've been a little busy this last month, so I should go. I'll go check it out here.
Ah, yeah, that way you
Maybe
can.
tonight even. Yeah,
So I
you had
figure,
mentioned it.
yeah. So then you guys can just upload it to there, and I'll grab them, and everything will be happy.
Yes, and
'Cause
I
then,
mean my sound came out all right.
yeah,
The
I
recording.
ended up just using the call graph file anyways.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that my side came out all right. At least my call recording.
Yeah, because I just
I
wanted
didn't
to
say
get
you
it
had.
up.
Yeah. No, no, I'm fine
I'm
with
more
that. I just
worried
wanted to make
about when
sure.
it's like three of us than when it's just two of us. Because when
Yeah.
there's two of us, I can like the call graph file makes each channel two people. So
Ah, okay.
yeah, good old Walking Dead. So I think we should until Walking Dead is. Let's see. So how many episodes are left in Walking Dead? Find out how much Walking Dead. So Walking Dead official site. I'm guessing this is the. Oh, how many seasons have they done of this show? They're in their fifth season or sixth
Uh,
season.
honestly, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Let's see. So it looks like there were 16 seasons in season, or 16 episodes in season 5, and 16 in season 4. So it would logically, and we know this is TV, so logic obviously doesn't apply. Says that season 6 should have 13 episodes or 16 episodes as well. And looks like, so which season is airing right now? IMDb, you're failing me. IMDb.
Can you imagine?
No, I guess they're doing season. Oh, okay, so they're in season 5 right now, and season 6 must have been authorized. So our next episode would be the 15th, and then the following episode would be the 29th. So that would mean we have the next 2 episodes we'll have to accommodate Scott's need for TV.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that 29th is, I'll be on spring break, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's the beginning of my spring break. Yeah, that's like I have basically from the 27th of March through whatever, or not, obviously it's that 28th through the 6th of whenever Easter is. I think Easter Sunday is the 5th. So it's like the
Probably.
day after that. So yeah, woohoo! Yay! Week off.
Week off.
Clearly, I mean, I had two. We were really hoping for a day off this week, and like, it didn't happen. It's like, oh, I could really use the day off. But that's the way it goes, right? Can't have it all. So I figured we talk some basketball today. You have your Iowa State. We can talk about Iowa and Iowa State, and we can talk. Maybe talk a little Spock.
I don't know if I want to talk Iowa State.
Why not?
They lost to Kansas State.
Well, they beat Kansas though, didn't they?
Well, yeah. No, they did.
That's pretty nice. You gotta argue, regardless of whether how good Kansas is or isn't. You gotta enjoy beating them.
I do enjoy beating them. I'm not gonna lie there. Okay, let's see if this works. Sorry, I am.
Oh, it's fine. We're just
Something is not working here.
Yeah, we're up to 3 people watching. Hi, people. If one is you and one is me and one other person.
Now it is working right.
Oh, that's good. I know Sunday night, at 10 o'clock on the East Coast is clearly prime time for radio drama, right?
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, it's I've noticed that either it must be getting boring because a lot of the podcasts are just like shortening up their shows or just don't have a lot to talk about, I guess, right now.
I've noticed my feed's been thinning a bit. What's up with Fen? Who's been fucking picking on Fen? Like, I seen Fen raving about, like, somebody's, like, talking smack about him, but he's blocked him, so we can't respond.
To be honest, it really wasn't even that big of smack. It was outlandish. That the
okay.
one.
I know I don't know him, but I know who you're talking about.
And he had said something. Doofus talked to him on Twitter, and
okay.
Doofus had said something, and then and basically it came out as it was a small snide remark, but nothing like really hurtful.
Okay.
So it's basically like, what do you expect from Vent Chat listeners? But he had already blocked Finn from before or something, so I guess he just didn't filled up his timeline or something, so he just blocked him. I mean, he didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, Finn gets a little spammy. I mean,
no big deal there.
The proper thing is just unfollow somebody if you're really done. You don't want.
Well, I think he did. I think he is unfollowed and blocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so he didn't have anything else.
Some people. I've noticed that some people will block other people because when you block somebody, you also they lose a follow. Like, they stop following you as well. So basically you force them to unfollow you, and then you can immediately unblock them. But you've basically they're not a follower of yours either anymore. Which is kind of a strange thing to do, but it's the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it really wasn't that offensive. Finn took
I've seen him talking about it for the last 2 days, so I'm like, oh, I hope everything's
well,
okay.
I mean, I don't know if you saw things. I mean, like, other people were like, was this the same one, or did something else happen? Because, I mean, he was like just kind of going on about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I seen it yesterday, Because like I've been on the Farfield account the last 2 days because of getting ready for the show. I tried to tweet out before the show, and so we don't. And I don't really use this account much, and it doesn't have very many followers, so the timeline, like, there's not nearly as much spam in it as my other accounts.
Right.
So I actually see stuff.
Right.
So like Fen, talking like a whole lot, I see all of that, and it doesn't get filtered out, so obviously it's a bunch of things over 2 days, but when you only have like you're only following like 30 odd people.
Right.
It's you see a lot more of that where my other accounts I'm like, oh, you said something, one or two things, and on this account I'm like, whoa, he said a lot of shit. Man, a lot of 140 tweets isn't in reality it's not really that much, but it seems like a lot in Twitter terms.
Yeah, and I have, like I said, I saw it. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I think it's just something that got under Finn's skin, and you know how that goes with him.
Yeah, no, I understand.
It gets under his skin. I mean, I know that that guy even said, "Hey, he probably spammed too much, so I just blocked him." I mean, it's nothing personal, and it wasn't a personal shot. Mm-hmm. He just took it that way, which it is what it is. I'm not upset.
And it offends that as much, so.
He just had it on his chest and had to get it off. Is the way I looked at it, and I let him get it off. Whatever.
I don't care. Do what you.
Yeah.
If someone's saying smack about me and my listeners, I'd probably take offense to it too, regardless of whether. I've never particularly liked it when people have gotten really insulty with me.
No, I get
it. With lawsuits, like, that's no fun. Like,
are you sure?
No, I
sounds
really
like fun.
Was not the most exciting thing in the world.
It sounds like fun.
No, not really. Oh, jeez. Like, these WoW selfies, I'm gonna murder her. Like,
I don't even know how to do it. I haven't looked into it.
But, like, every time I see one on my Twitter feed, unfollow. Like, Megan from, the Warcraft trolls. Like, she was just, like, flaring up Twitter, just burning it down with selfies the other day. Like, I like you, you have a pretty cool show, but I'm really, really thinking hard about unfollowing you over all this crap. Like, and not to say nothing of the 3 or 4 other people who I care not at all for. Like, yep, gone. And a couple people I just heard, oh, you're not following me anymore anyways. I feel even less bad about dropping you now.
Yeah. I've had a few on my timeline, but most of them have not. It hasn't been a lot. You know what I mean?
But the people who've done it do it a lot. Like,
I think the people who I've had on my time doing it are just like, let me check it out real fast.
Like, you do it once, like Alice, SoCal Wild Gal. Like, she has one that just showed up in my timeline. Like, okay, fine. Like, one, okay. 90?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Most of them might have just been one, so I haven't been too bad,
Like, I can,
I have kind of laughed, too, because I have had some retweets of people's selfies in World of Warcraft, and I'm like, why do you want to retweet somebody's selfie of World of Warcraft?
Yeah, like what? Yeah,
and this is the guy who actually still plays the game saying this.
Yeah, no.
I don't care about you and your, pictures. Who cares? I can go in the game and see it. I can make that exact same character.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's strange. We're strange sometimes. I don't claim to understand it all.
I do. That's a lie, but I claim it. It's just a claim I make.
Scott, what are we doing? This is our dog night. Okay, we give Scott 5 more minutes, then we're starting. And we'll do the show, darn it. We'll do it live!
Gotta do it. Do it live. Do it.
Good old Bill O'Reilly. Channeling. Yeah, nobody listen anyways. So.
Yeah, Scott's the woman in the relationship with us.
He kind of has been. Well, I know some of it's the dog.
Got this TV show I've got to watch.
Look, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, exactly. uh,
Oh, retweet. Yeah, this well selfie stuff is just asking to be destroyed.
yeah,
Like,
agreed.
Here's one that just showed up. I'll throw this into our chat channel because nobody's looking at it anyways. There we go. Like, what's accomplished here? Like, this is stupid. Like, oh boy, I have, I don't know, I think the whole selfie thing is stupid anyways, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Here's completely, obviously, like, great podcasting fodder.
Oh, no kidding.
Here, I'll drop that one. Hey, tell me if this isn't a little over the top.
I'm looking at it. Opening it up now.
Opening it up now. Now, thankfully, this one isn't. This isn't somebody you've blocked recently.
No. Oh God, yes.
Like, yeah, that was one of those things. Like, yeah, she was really pushing me. Like, I do not need you in my timeline. You're spammy enough.
Yeah, these are not.
I really don't get the whole like.
People
I just like selfies just don't make they just look stupid. Like.
Yeah, I don't even take selfies of my real self.
But
I don't understand why you want me to take them of my character.
I don't get the whole Instagram. Maybe we're just too old. Like, maybe that's just what it is. Like, every generation has something to look back on and have shame for, and maybe that's what this generation will have shame on. But still, I don't know. Like, you can tell where, like, WoW's development time is going. Like, I know they're like, oh, it's not taking away from raids and other stuff. Like, you know, you say that, but then you go throw at them, sometime down the road, like, well, if we do this, then we don't have time to do that. Like, well, you've had time to build a selfie stick in game. So, I think you have time for just about fucking whatever. Scott's alive. Excellent. He got 2 minutes to spare. So.
Oh.
Hey. I think he's trying to get his mic.
Probably.
Yeah. Shows. Oh, he's writing things to us. That's always a good sign. Yeah. Jaw. Gosh, who was like that? War, jaw. I don't know. Bachelor's been quoting that a lot lately. Not that either of you listen to Bachelor anymore, but that's not the point.
Are you sure?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to listen to Bill's show. He's been consistent as ever.
Yes, he has.
There are all the things that people don't like about Bill. He's always just kind of keeping at it. Like, he puts out a show. He gives no fucks whatsoever about what anyone else thinks of him, and he's happy.
Yeah, that's the. I don't want to say the sad thing, but those are all the things that I like about him.
Yeah, no, it's good to just be yourself. And he's willing to. He's not afraid just to start lighting people on fire.
No, he's not. And he's gonna say what's on his mind. And if you really want to know what's on his mind, all you have to do is ask him. You really only have to ask him.
Bill, what do you think about this?
I mean, and if you
I
want to
think
know what
it's
he
pretty
thinks about
stupid.
you,
Yeah.
if you want to know what he thinks about you, he's going to tell you right to your face.
I think it's
I mean,
pretty
he's
stupid.
not. If you're okay with him or he has a problem with
Yeah.
you, he's going to tell you the problem, but he's not going to be, he's not going to say, I hate you for it.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the guy,
Well,
He's
I don't
gonna
know.
tell you
Like,
what's up.
that's one of the things I don't get about it. Like people like are so quick, like the high schoolers. It's like, oh, are so quick to hate other people. Like really, like, you're too young to hate other people. Like you don't have.
No, I agree.
You're never not too young for that.
Hey,
I mean,
it's Scott.
I only hate one person.
Okay, let us.
Wrangler.
Yeah.
I said
Hey, Scott.
person.
So Scott, were you able to download Audacity or anything like that? And you got my note from a while ago that where I was going to try to have everybody record their sound filed individually, and I was going to splice them together. No.
No.
Okay. Well,
Do you want me to?
I would like you to, but we can do that next time. As long as somebody has a backup, I don't really care. That way I can. Okay. Anyways, we'll do that next
I'm
time.
recording already.
You got
Again,
CallGraph
on
running?
mine,
Okay.
Just like mine was. I have my Mixcraft.
Okay, cool. We'll figure it out next time. Cool, let's get this thing running. Scott, you ready to go, or you need to get a soda or some...
I'm good
rum?
enough for now.
Need a cigarette.
Smoke if you got them.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Far Afield here on RivalCast Media. Brought to you in part on twitch.tv, channel RivalCast Media. I am Sayomara, your host. Today is March 1st. It is 2015. And I'm joined by the always lovely, lei-wearing, Hawaiian, Mr. Porkchop.
Oh, hey, that's me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. And coming up to us late because he's been chasing zombies for the last hour and couldn't be bothered to come in at a regular time, Mr. Scott Alvarado.
It's the one thing I have looked forward to every week, and you guys still fuck with me over it. It's the one thing.
Well, we're actually Porkchop.
And it's done in like 2 more weeks. So.
Oh, we were looking at it. It looked like you had 16 episodes in the season. So
Yeah.
So it looks like there'll be one on the. Like, we have 2 more shows that you'd interact with, so the next show, which is the 15th, and the show that's on the 29th, we'll just move both those shows back to 9 o'clock-ish, or 9:10, whatever we want to call it.
Well, if I trust
I'm fine with
the
that.
fanboy sites, the last one is now bumped up to an hour and a half runtime, so...
Oh, well. Okay,
That's
well,
what the fanboy site has said, but I haven't seen, like, the TV listings put out that far in advance.
Well, I don't have to work that next day, so I'm totally fine to go later, or we can just... Or maybe we could do a Friday night show that night, or that week. I don't care. Like I said, I got a week off after that, or that following week, so I'm good to go. So whatever
it's a paid one too. How's that, Scott?
I know it's tough.
I don't even know what you mean by saying you don't have to work the next week. I don't even understand what those words together mean anymore. It's impressive if I only have to work 1 job in 3 days.
Yeah. So Scott, how you been doing? You missed last 2 weeks ago, so
Terrible, and you?
what's terrible? Well, you better share with us.
It's just trying to keep up with the grind. It's just not. It's not a winning battle, people. It's just not a winning battle.
You sound like you got a little cold, but you don't sound like you're dying.
No, well, no. I think the biggest sickness was the January thing, and that's pretty well past me. I think at this point, but no, it's just the stress of trying to keep up with 2 if not 3 things, and you got a dog stuck in the middle. It just doesn't work, and all 3 of them are really not compromising.
So what's it gonna give?
Probably me, honestly.
So you're gonna go until you fall over again?
I don't have a choice.
Well, you always have choices, to some degree.
They're just not always good ones.
No, that's kind of life, isn't it? There's choices and there's not good choices.
There's still choices, though.
No, there are choices. Their voices. God, how does that song go? Yeah, that's what happens when you have bad country songs in your mind that all you always draw it from.
But I thought that's what this show was about, bad country songs.
It is. One of my favorite country songs is, "You got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Never compromise what's right and uphold your family name. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything."
I know that song.
Yeah. That was playing a lot when we used to walk beans. That was like over, I don't know when it was popular, probably like 94 or something like that. We're still walking beans. I can't tell you a word other than the chorus, but that's the chorus for Darns.
Yes, no, you're definitely right there.
And Google would tell me exactly what the song was if I really cared that much.
Oh, I'm sure it would. And I don't even remember who sang it. That's the problem. My memory is he didn't sing much else that anyone would know of. It's like nobody big. Like it just something like Chattahoochee or something like that, like, or Marie Laveau, like some of those kind of weird, eccentric country songs. Well, no, Chattahoochee actually is very well known because it's Alan Jackson, but Jeremy Fisher. I just looked it up because I had to.
Once again, somebody nobody's heard of and has done virtually nothing since like that. I mean, it's a good song. I really like it. But
yeah, I do know the song. That's for sure.
It's a good idea. I mean, it's a very country kind of mentality. So yeah, let's get a Walking Dead report since we had to wait for this darn thing. So what's the status of the season? Are you better than the previous seasons, worse than previous seasons? Are you happy with where the show is? Are you really looking forward to next week, Scott? Nope, we lost Scott. Okay.
We might have.
Okay.
The show is great.
I think you should give it at least a little lower, like, yeah, I really like the show.
No. I wanted to go the other way because I know that if he ever listens to this, he'll just go, "Damn him."
Damn him.
Yeah.
You shouldn't sound like somebody just kicked you in the nads.
Yeah. Well, that's how he's feeling right now, though.
I've been singing a lot in class lately. I don't know if it's helping or not, but damn it, I've been singing a lot to teach the kids. Like, how do you? Sometimes.
I'd have to admit that Mediacom has been flaky at best this last week.
Yeah. So, did you hear my question, Scott? Part
of it.
So, what's your general feeling where Walking Dead is right now?
Well, I am a fan of the comics. So, I mean, I've read far beyond them. I think I'm actually current again. So this is the stage of the comic where it's kind of weird, right? So if you've watched the show at all, the fun part is the first 90-some issues where you're out in the woods wandering around, and then they kind of get reintroduced into society, and that's been like the next 150 episodes of the comic, really, or where it will be, is like this reintegration and society exists in one way or another, and then conflicting societies, and those dynamics come back in rather than just kind of walking around the wilderness, and that's really where the show has led to now, is we just started back into that, which is sad. I think a lot of people like zombies getting killed and wandering around and that kind of survival aspect, and it's a marked change in the comic when this happens. Not to say you still don't have fun in those ways, but we're getting there now. In the story on the show is there now. So
isn't that the problem with every zombie story, though? I mean, eventually you come to a point where either you're starting to win, or you're really losing, and it's only a matter of time before you all die.
Yeah, that's really kind of the point of all the zombie genre. Anyway, where we're at with it. The thing I like least is AMC's like artificial split. If we got 16 episodes, or they watch 16 episodes. Major network sitcoms get 22 episodes, we get 16. Okay, whatever. You're going to get 22 episodes of The Blacklist, which has just a higher production value as The Walking Dead does, but you get more episodes.
You could get
and then they're going to give you
episodes of a HBO series.
Right, but this is the thing I hate most about it is they're going to split it in half, and nobody else until this year has decided to do that either. And they've done it with a couple of shows. They did it with Hell on Wheels, which is another show I love to watch, which is going to be in its last season next year. And then they've done it with The Walking Dead, split it in half. They've done it with Mad Men. It's just I don't. It's artificial. It's they did it with Breaking Bad. It's an interesting way to try and keep your viewership and chop shows apart. And hats off to AMC for having 5 or 6 shows that are extremely popular with the same kind of demographic. They're completely different shows, but to having this many shows that's popular, they can split it up and kind of keep you watching in tune rather than alternating one every week or something like that by keeping that Sunday time slot. But that's been the biggest pain in the ass, is kind of the wait. You take a month and a half off. But the season started off extremely fast. A lot of kind of craziness going on, and it's going to taper down. And I think I kind of see the writing on the wall. We're getting with a cliffhanger type thing, which is not a impending doom or death. It's just going to be a walk-in of a character that we all know in the comics. I think for anybody else out there who's a fan of the comics, I think we're going to see. I think we meet Negan, which is going to be a little premature from where we are in the comics, but I think we meet Negan. I think that's where we end the season this year. I think we get introduced to it.
Listening to Baron and some of his commentary on Walking Dead over the years, is he always feels like Walking Dead has a very bad pacing, like the way they pace their seasons. That it starts out like at a run, then you have a huge lull in the middle, and then and then like the last like 3, 4, 8 episodes, have to run right, like sprint to the end. Like the pacing of the overall arc of the season is just terrible.
It's the Lord of the Rings. It's the exact same thing as Lord of the Rings did, right? Mm-hmm. You get a lot of pretty good action. You get your exposition, which takes off the first part of the book, and then you get some pretty good action. End it. You get this lull where we fucking walk for an entire book, and then we get some
the Lord of the Rings has never been complimented for its pacing. There are a lot of great things about the Lord of the Rings, but pacing is not one of its strengths.
I think people give a show too much credit sometimes. It's a show about zombies based on comic books. Again, hats off to the writers and production team of the show to turn the smaller episodic comics into a show that takes an hour every week and to move it as well as they do. It's difficult. It's harder to write for TV, to sit and watch for an hour than it is to read a comic, which you can read in 20 minutes. But you want to sit and go back over and engross it. There are certain elements of the comics that are never going to be introduced to the show, just for that reason, because television is a completely different animal. There's entire throwaway issues in that comic run. They're really just about characters that die that you never really see again. And this particular point, which is a really good jumping on point for that type of topic, is we are introduced to a whole lot of other characters in the comic at this point. When the group is brought into the society, the Alexandria Safe Zone, they meet all these extra people, and then we get a lot of issues of backstory of different people and how they are and weird interactions. And our main group is kind of filtered through all these people, and we kind of see a big changing in and out of different people. And I think it's funny. I'm saying this out loud. I haven't really thought about it, but I know that the producers in AMC had mentioned they're going to do a spin-off show. I kind of have the feeling that's what this is about. It just makes sense.
That.
Yeah, it just makes sense that they're gonna do those side stories, those backstory things of a different place in the world of how these people get to this point, things that might have been going on simultaneously or just from this point forward, and you see the group come up with the interactions, and that's going to be their way to handle things. Because again, it's just a different way of writing. TV and graphic art, let alone novel, are just completely different ways to write and move and advance the story. And the people that don't agree with that always are going to find 5 or 6 examples which are hugely important pieces to change how that whole system works, right? If you watch episodic television from the 50s, it's completely different than what you watch now. The pacing is completely dead. And I have a hard time watching episodes of Leave It to Beaver. I can't. Or shows are like F Troop. I really can't, aside from the comic and how it's
also almost 70 years old. People talk about Leave It to Beaver like it was yesterday, but this is content our grandparents were watching as children. Or our parents, I guess more accurately. Our parents were watching as children. Like the kids who are, kids now, their grandparents were watching as children.
And it's
kids I have in school.
In mind.
Yeah.
right? The taste of it, like the genre has developed. Like, I mean, we are a smarter consumer of film now than what we were then in its infancy, right? And
Well, some of that's just there's so much more of it. I mean, because you have 70, going back to the 30s, going back all the way to Honeymooners, you have almost 80 years of television now that you can look at any of it and, this huge library of information. And, if I want to watch a TV show, I have more TV than I can ever watch in my lifetime.
That's true.
When, our grandparents were growing up, and even our parents, even us to a certain extent, for, poor Porkchop, sitting on his farm where he has to manually aim the antenna depending on whether he wants the religious channel or the other two channels. You only get what you get, and it's not like you're going to save it for later. We have, these students right now. I have kids in class who have Netflix accounts with infinite, basically effectively an infinite library of shows. Whether they, choose to use it like that or not, they're going to watch what's popular more often than not. But
yeah, and getting back to it, I just think that even the shows, as many shows as there were in the 50s and 60s and 70s, that the way it's written for now is completely different. The way we expect drama to unfold. And you look back and you find 5 or 6 different shows in the history that were big turning points to how that changed. At least the model's been the same. And to an extent, AMC, not The Walking Dead per se, or maybe not Breaking Bad per se, or maybe not Mad Men per se, but AMC as a genre in the last probably 4 or 5 years has really turned that again, like what your expectations for a dramatic show are in an hour-long situation that, Law and Order had been the most advanced topical way to do that before, right? You have a similar premise every episode, but inside of that 1 hour, things are completely different. But you still exist in the same world. But that's no different than the Gunsmoke world of the late 60s, right? Every episode was a little bit different, but you still the same characters wander around in the same world, and nothing changes for 20 years, and nothing did with Law and Order. Just
isn't that kind
watching
of
some drama in the middle of it?
We've kind of been police procedurals really haven't changed all that much since Dragnet, or any of the shows before that, or even the Andy Griffith Show. Like, something happened, like somebody walks in town, we have a crime, we solve the crime in the way the local cops decide to handle it, whether it's New York with SVU or if it's Andy Griffith doing his all shucks kind of thing. But it's the same kind of. What's that?
Well, or Columbo, who was always my favorite.
Oh, I love Columbo. Columbo was great. I don't know why they were airing Columbo reruns when I was young, but it was always a good time. Porkchop, you like Columbo?
Actually, I do. They actually show it on MeTV now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Murder TV? Is that what Me is?
No, it stands
Memorable
for
entertainment.
really old shows.
Okay. Well,
That's what it,
when
you have
when
it.
we were young, they really old shows meant what they aired on Nick at Night. Nowadays, It's like whatever. Nick at Night's, Friends, I think. I mean,
Yes, it is. And everybody loves Raymond. MeTV shows the old Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, even the black and white Superman shows. You get like Columbo, Emergency.
Am I wrong in thinking that Wonder Woman show was just terrible? Like everything I've ever seen of, like, I don't know. I know they all were, but like people hold the Linda Carter Wonder Woman in such high esteem, and I'm like, this is just bad. I get like, okay, so you don't have a whole lot of female, superheroes to idolize as children, but this wasn't very good. Like, that Hulk show wasn't much better, though, I guess, in fairness.
No. But I think it's just because she was a pretty woman basically in a bikini, or, in a one-piece swimsuit running around. That's why everybody holds her, in their and right at their adolescence, you know what I mean? That's why she's held in such high, regard.
And apparently Linda Carter's just a horrible person to boot. From accounts I've heard of her dealing with people. It's like, okay, well, such is the way of things.
Yeah, well, that's why she's an actress. She can act like Wonder Woman and be a horrible person.
The gal they have like cast as Wonder Woman for the Justice League movies seems like, at the very least, like she's a former Israeli soldier. That's kind of cool in my book.
If you're Israeli, aren't all Israelis former Israeli soldiers?
Actually, if you're an Orthodox, like certain members, like like super Orthodox Jewish group, don't have to join the Israeli military. But with the exception of that, yes.
Yeah.
Israel does have, what is it? Is it complicit military service? Is that the right word for it, or compulsory? One of those.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you have to join for at least 2 years.
Yeah, you're required to be a member, and if something happens, you have to you get called up. That's that's the way it is. Like, and in fairness, there's really no other way to run your country when you're literally surrounded on all sides by enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been following this Obama BB stuff? Just kind of on a random tangent.
It's a little bit and not, because it's
really
getting annoying.
There's really nothing to follow yet, because nothing's happened.
Right.
I mean, it's all just kind of, chest thumping and, you should be nicer to me. Well, you should not make deals with terrorists. Well, I'm gonna anyways. Well, maybe you shouldn't. Well, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with this.
Yeah, I know. It's getting ridiculous on that end, and like I said, I have followed it because it has been ridiculous, but I haven't been like truly paying full attention because nothing's happened.
No,
like you said, nothing's happened.
Well,
when something happens, I'll follow it a little bit more.
Even when BB ultimately gives a speech before Congress, nobody's gonna follow most of what's said.
No,
it's just gonna be one of those things like, and he said something, and he's done.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I agree.
That's great.
Nothing monumental is going to be said. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll say very relevant things, and especially relevant to the potential future of Israel in regards to Iran having nuclear weapons, which obviously are kind of bad for Israel, because Israel doesn't want to get nuked. No,
they really don't. I mean, I don't either. So I'm with Israel.
Yeah. Well,
don't get nuked. But you know what? I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want Iran to get nuked either.
No.
I don't want anybody to get nuked too badly.
I think we're all in agreement that nuking other people is probably not very nice.
Or good.
I'm not agreeing to that.
You're not going to agree with the non-nuking policy? Who needs nuked, in your opinion, then?
Anyone I choose to drop them on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I go back to the old Cold War strategy, man. As long as I got them, I can use them, and until you prove me a reason not to use them, I won't. But otherwise, be prepared for me to use them at any point.
We're supposedly in the process of upgrading our nuclear arsenal, or about to start the first steps of doing it.
Which surprises me.
Under
really
Obama,
does.
no. Well, I mean, it's the media, of course, has made this a very low-profile thing that under a supposedly Democratic president who has signed numerous treaties to reduce our nuclear arsenal is going to upgrade our nuclear arsenal.
Does that mean we're going to oil all the hinges on the doors so that we make sure the doors open when the nukes get shut off?
That would be a good starting point. I mean, this stuff really hasn't been updated since the 50s in a lot of cases. It's not really surprising that it's getting old. And nobody wants to be part of the nuclear service anymore because, it's not like we really expect these things ever to launch.
Well, you got to remember, too, almost as soon as we started mass production, we started rolling out SALT 1 and SALT 2 initiatives under Nixon that severely limited what our capacity and engineering would have been to that point. So just as we really figuratively got the ball rolling on, we can make a pretty damn good thermonuclear devices we needed, we decided we're just not going to do this anymore. And much like the space program, right? I mean,
Nixon was also...
And then we're going to stop it after 10 years. That's
and
it.
Nixon was also responsible for pretty much gutting the lunar program as well.
Mm-hmm. It would be different to think if we never went through SALT and START, where our capabilities would be at now. What would the real response to 9/11 have been had we not done any limitations or reductions? Had we done no international treaties on what we would have done? Self-imposed, really. I mean, nobody else is holding us to a point other than Russia to say that, if you attack us, we'll attack you. But
Well,
to
and
use
let's
them
be
as a
honest,
third
it's not
party.
like Russia actually follows any of these agreements anyways.
Correct. Again, which is why I say this is all self-imposed. Which, I don't know, how many times do you throw yourself on your own sword before you're really completely disemboweled? And I don't know. And I think this pissing match between, what will become Obama and Netanyahu, or really America versus support to Israel, is going to get covered in blood and guts at some point here. It's not going to be a purely political thing forever. Like you said, nothing has happened yet, but it's sometimes you got to remember too. This is an area of the world and a nation that was created by the United Nations strongly at the urging of the United States government, and propagated and held up ever since. For the United States and the United Nations to have said nothing really, and to let this continue to play out and go, and then refuse really to provide aid in any other structured way, as this is going on, you kind of wonder about what is the state of the world with that.
Well, and then you have countries like Jordan, which are arguably fairly unstable, which have these, hostile Palestinian populations, you should call it what it is, where the local Palestinian population has made multiple attempts to assassinate the king, and where does, ISIS look for its next target? Well, they've already controlled a healthy part of Syria, a healthy part of Iraq. They're not going to knock on Iran's door because they see who the big man is, and they're not going to fight that war yet.
Well, they don't really need to.
They don't need to. So the next person on the block is Jordan. And so you start heading in that, and you mobilize a hostile internal population, which
Jordan, Egypt, and Turkey.
But Turkey and Egypt and Jordan, or like Egypt and Jordan, are on opposite sides with Turkey. Turkey is basically encouraging ISIS. I mean,
correct.
How are all these Islamists getting into Western Islamists getting to ISIS? They're going through Turkey. I mean,
the way has been for 3,000 years.
They're also going into Baghdad. They're flying into Baghdad and basically walking up the road too. But
but the way it has been for 3,000 years, since really the foundation of the principles of Islam and the warring nations and tribal factions, and then the Crusades all the way through. Right, it's no different. It's always walked right on through Turkey and through Constantinople, then Istanbul, and whatever you like to name it ever since. But it is just sad to see this is going to be the same thing again. But
and it's strange. Like Turkey had this philosophy for the longest time that if we ever get too Islamist, the military takes over. And Erdogan takes over, and the first thing he does, he guts the military so that they can't overthrow him. And what's he doing? Now he's setting up an Islamic State. I mean, it's not really surprising in that regard. And obviously the United States is somewhat complicit in that, because we're not calling bullshit on anybody. Hell, we were propping up the Muslim Brotherhood when they were controlling Egypt. We weren't calling them a terrorist state. They're like, yeah, these guys helped found modern Islamist, jihadist kind of movement, but they're totally a great governing body. Yeah, not so much. What do we do in Libya? We throw out this relatively stable, though obviously terrible dictator, but things are relatively stable. There's nothing new happening in. We overthrow that, and we don't send any ground troops. We just bomb it and say, good luck, see you later. Yeah. And now Egypt is fighting a two-front war, basically, because they have to fight the people in the Sinai, and they have to fight the people in Libya who are inciting terrorism. And it's only a matter of time before Egypt basically decides to move into Libya. And what are you going to do in that case?
I always used to say there are very few places in the world you wouldn't pay me to go to, and most of the African continent was one of them. Especially Central Africa. You could not pay me to go there for any reason whatsoever. There's no redeeming value in there. Rapidly, Libya has become one of those areas as well. You couldn't pay me. No, maybe 10 years ago I would have said, yeah, I would go to Tripoli on a plane flight for $50, absolutely, for the weekend. But I don't know that you could pay me to do that now.
Well, and you look at what Iran, going back to the Iran problem, where Iran is absurd, in a vacuum of power, which is what's going on because the United States has pulled out. Iran controls Damascus, they control Baghdad, they control Yemen basically now. That's not good either. We haven't really talked about that. We have this problem with Nicaragua, where I lose track of all the different tribes, and I don't want to say the wrong ones, but we have this whole thing is going south. I know the current president, like Good Luck Jonathan, is basically Kerry apparently flew in there when he said he wasn't going to have elections. And this was supposed to be the moderate, reasonable guy. And yeah, we're totally... Sudan is going bad again. Shock of shock, right? And they're looking like they're going to declare war. Iran's helping them out, giving them weapons. Like, it's all kinds of greatness, right? There's and then we have Libya. And what's the United States doing? Yeah, whatever. We apparently want to start a war over Ukraine for no particular reason. Like, okay. Did you hear what our last show, Scott, and our general thoughts on Ukraine, or do you have any thoughts on the Ukraine situation?
My only, I didn't listen to it. No, my only thoughts really on the Ukraine is to still stay out of it.
Well, that's what I said. They should just sue for peace.
I wouldn't even. I would just sit and watch and wait. And it goes much farther back, right? Back to the founding of the United States. They go back to the American Civil War, right? The Confederate States had asked and sought Russian dignitaries and assistance from the Eastern Bloc. And at the time, the Tsar stood down and said, "No, this is clearly your own civil war and your own affairs, and you take care of it. We want no part of it." To a certain extent, that happened again during the Confederacy. Of states, I guess not the Confederate States, but the Confederacy of states that preambled into the United States as we know it. At the same time, too, Eastern Bloc Russian areas and really only came as some parties. There was no national Russian force that was brought in because, again, they recognized this was a small circle of confluence of we'll deal with the winner. Whoever the winner is, will deal with you, rather than trying to pick a loser, potentially. And unfortunately, this Ukrainian mess, there is no real winner and loser except for Russia. Again, these are Russians fighting other Russians divided by political boundary. And as much as I would like to espouse the claims of a free nation being covered in tyranny, I still would have to stand back and say you are Russians fighting other Russians. This is nothing more than any other civil war that's been going on there for the last 30 years. But even then, it's a limited engagement, which we were never really talked about in the news because Russia, as the Soviet Union, kept all those things covered it up as they happened. But we know there was many of these types of things that came up with the history of the Soviet Union, let alone now in the breakaway republic age. But I would say just hands off, stay away, and we'll talk with anybody, but we're not committing to anything to anyone, unfortunately.
Well, and this is also kind of like this assumption of we have created these sovereign states, and their borders will be intact no matter what, because these are the borders which must be maintained no matter what. Like, there's a certain kind of like, doesn't the world ever change? Like, is this the most ideal situation we could possibly create, and therefore it must be static from here to the end of time? I don't know. It seems like an intellectual disconnect.
Definitely is, but it's not. I don't know. You can't ever expect anything to be static in this world for very long, and to make that a foreign policy is just absurd.
Well, and it's kind of like the whole global warming thing. Like, obviously, global climate has changed significantly over the course of the 5 billion years that the planet's existed. Like, it's been hotter, it's been colder, it's been covered with ice, it's been filled with volcanoes, it's been a molten surface at different times. Like, this planet has been through a lot. And to claim that, like, right now in 2015 is how the planet should be for the rest of eternity is basically, it seems like that's, I mean, maybe I misinterpreted, but to me that seems like that's the position that's being espoused by the global warming community. Like, this is some global nirvana which must be maintained no matter what. And humans are going to destroy it. Like, I don't know. I mean, realistically, the climate should change, regardless of whether we're here or not. The climate is likely going to change. I get the whole, we should be wary of what we're doing and, what those consequences are ultimately going to do to us. But that doesn't seem like the point.
No.
And it feels like that's kind of the nation state thing too. Like maybe there's a configuration of the nation's greater than the one we have, and unfortunately, in the very conflict diverse world we live in, we don't want to go through the conflicts. Yeah, obviously, no one wants to go through conflicts. You prefer that ultimately people don't die and people don't get hurt in wars, but sometimes wars happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Just as much as climate change.
Yeah. I know Highlander was quoting the other day something I found about, war doesn't decide who the winner is, war decides who's left. And like, yeah, there's truth in that. But at the same time, I guess, as much as 17th, 18th century Europe is not necessarily a model you want to go to, at the same point, when there was, at the end of a war, people were willing to negotiate, and it feels like in the post-World War II era, there's just unilateral victory and there's nothing else. Like, we don't deal with the fact we have conflicts, we settle conflicts, and then we come to some mutual agreement that is understood that there was a winner in this war and there was a loser in this war, but both sides continue on after the war.
Sounds like T-ball.
T-ball. Ping!
Yeah. Yep. You didn't lose. They scored more runs than you, but you didn't lose.
Well, obviously, but you still have two teams at the end of the day. Well, we get Timmy and Pedro, and we'll get Steve too. They're now part of our team because we won, and we won't take anyone else from your team, and you will be allowed to play next week with 6 people.
Right. But we'll give you sunflower seeds so that you guys can sustain yourself.
Yes. You will be allowed to maintain your current supply of sunflower seeds, and you will still have access to the drinking fountain during the game.
Yes, because we don't want you to overheat.
Yes.
Bathrooms, though, you know what? You just use the tree.
Bathrooms, you'll have to pay a fee to use, and that will be collected by a neutral observer provided to us by the city.
We're now screwed.
Yeah.
Just kill me. Hit me with the bat again.
How does the T-ball season go?
It is over. It just finished yesterday, the last game, and we start another one in about 3 weeks. So.
And he's gonna do the second one. He's decided on that. Oh,
yes,
all right.
He did, and it was also decided that I am going to coach.
Oh.
The coach who is the coach now, which he was pretty good. His son is moving up to the next level, so obviously he's going to move up with him and coach. And right now he's coaching 2 teams. He has an older son, so he was coaching his older son's team and the T-ball team. So this coming up season, since his son is moving up, he's going to just move up and only coach him. So to keep the team together, he basically said somebody's got to coach. And 4 of us got together and said, well, we're at every practice anyway. We'll all chip in and help. And then 3 of them looked at me and go, I've never played baseball. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll be coaching then. So.
Wow. And that's really like a political power vacuum right there. That's how it works.
Yeah. That's exactly it. We just explained all of Ukraine with T-ball.
I gotta say, we just no. This is the dark horse presidential election of the 1920s. This is how we end up with Warren G. Harding becoming the presidential candidate. Like, who should we put up after Wilson? I don't know. We were gonna put up Roosevelt again, but he died, so we can't do that. Porkchop, would you like to be president? I mean, coach of the league team? Yeah. Sure.
You've been in politics before. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to complain. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I mean, I had to coach his soccer team, and I know nothing about soccer when he was younger.
Run that way.
Yeah, basically.
Run faster.
Okay, what I need you guys to do is kick the ball towards that net.
You know,
Try not to group up.
I've been kind of like contemplating like the whole coaching certificate thing, and there's really nothing I feel like I'm qualified to coach. Maybe be like an assistant coach, but I don't know. I mean, I took part in in track and football in high school, but I really I don't know. I wasn't ever very good.
Well, you know, I feel like you gotta kind of like it too.
Yeah, you kind of have to be at least kind of good at. Well, I mean, it just eats up your time. I mean, that $2,000-3,000 they give you for it really isn't enough. I was listening to our union guy talk on Friday. Last Friday of the month, we have donut day. So, one of our union guys was talking about how they're planning to cut the coaching money next year. And he's like, we have 60-something coaches. Don't expect any of them to work for less than they're making right now. Like, that's a spirit. We'll bust them.
Well, I know that. Yeah, like you say, the coaches don't get really paid that much at a normal school.
No, I mean, well, I mean, you think about like base pay for a teacher is $33,000. If you make $3,000 for coaching a sport for 6 months, I mean that's almost 10% of your annual pay.
No, and I understand that, but still, I mean, you know, it's all after hour stuff. It's all weekend stuff.
No, it is a huge time commitment.
You understand? So, I mean, you know what I'm saying. So it's not like it's like, oh, and now I'm making $36,000 and doing the same amount of, same hours.
No, clearly doing way more work.
Yes. So I've always, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've always given the coaches a little bit more credit out of schools and things like that, because I know that the pay isn't great. You're doing a little bit for love, you know what I mean?
I guess my only question is, did you even float this past your wife?
No, I'm not. No plans to do this at all.
I was gonna say that's an automatic veto, or you can just live there and not come back.
We've had we've had the discussion occasionally about like, at some point it'd be nice to go get a master's degree, just because, that would be a bump. Eventually, I get where I want to be for the long term. That's, the only way you really get a pay increase is by getting a more advanced degree or living longer, and you kind of live longer regardless. So you might as well get the advanced degree basically pays for itself in about 2 or 3 years.
Yes, it does.
And so, you get a $4,000 or $5,000 pay hike initially, and then you have that continuously for as long as you're there. So you might as well do it. There's really no downside to it, at least from the teacher side, other than just putting the time in.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the master stuff you can do, like, you could break it up. Most masters are done in basically about 2 years, but you can break it up, take a little bit longer. So you can still teach in the meantime, and it adds more onto you, but you can still do your school.
And most of the teacher-oriented ones tend to be, written in such a way that they realize you have to teach yourself, and you have to do it during the summers. Right. And depending on how you choose to do it, you basically have 2 options. Because they've eliminated kind of like the bullshit masters, where you could just kind of get a master's degree and like, hey, look, I get paid more now. Like, no, not so much. You kind of has to be relevant. So you can either go in your subject area. So if I did math, then if I get my master's degree, now I can teach at a community college eventually, which, hey, that's not bad. That's easy money.
Are you sure it's not bad?
Well, it's kind of terrible, but
I'm just teasing.
It's an option for retirement level work, right? I can make a couple.
Exactly.
I can make a couple $1,000 here and there doing doing relatively light work, or you go the administrative route, and then you assume like, well, I'm eventually going to move up, but if you want to go the administrative route, then you're pretty much committing yourself to having to move around a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you, administration route, I don't know if I could do that. Teachers have enough politics, and administration politics is even worse for schools.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of downsides to the administrative part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who I took over for, he's still there. He changed from the math teacher to the business teacher. I guess he has endorsements and both. And he also has a principal's license. And so we have an assistant principal position opening, and I'm like, hey, you applying for this or not? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, why do you have a principal's license then? It's like, hey, I get paid more. I'm like, okay, I respect that. I think it's kind of silly, like, to have a principal's license and not be at least applying for the local principal job, but...
Yeah, you're not moving at least.
Yeah, I mean, why not try it?
Yeah.
But,
I get that.
I guess. Such is the way of things.
Yeah. Especially in the life of the school teacher.
Yep. So, Scott, I tentatively penned in some March Madness discussion and our waning minutes here. What are your thoughts on Iowa and Iowa State as we get towards the end of, or I guess we're now in March and get pretty close to the tournament? Oh, Scott's gone.
MediaCom hits him again.
MediaCom, that's the way it goes.
I just see he came back online.
So I know. I every time I feel like I should drop, that teach your own. I like to tan from that Rusty always liked to run.
Yeah, that lady. I like to tan.
I occasionally hear a kid, like one of my students break out, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
Yeah.
I don't know if they realize.
The internet is everywhere.
I know, but it's funny to hear like a 14-year-old white girl say that.
Have they ever busted out the hide your women, hide your wives?
No, I have not heard that one. So it's what it happens. It's all good. Yeah. Hey, SpaceX just launched a Falcon 9 rocket.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter feed is Spaceflight Now is reporting. Looks like it went well. Good. I wonder if they're gonna. I don't. They usually don't do the mock landings on the barge for the regular satellite launches. They only usually do that for the missions to ISS because they usually have extra fuel for the ISS missions. Where the normal communication satellite missions, they're launching those in the higher orbits. Is my memory.
Right, and then they did get the contract, right, to go to the space station.
No, yeah, they did. I mean, they're still working on the Dragon part of it. I mean, Dragon's
right
to be certified.
But I mean, they actually did get everything signed, so they did. I officially
not to my. I mean, I don't know if everything is signed, but I mean, that was. Who knows with the government?
That's true.
I don't know. To my knowledge, everything should be working right. I don't know. It's kind of amazing. Like you think about like the rocket. Like this rocket literally launched about 10 minutes ago, and the satellites are already broken loose from the satellite and are from the rocket, and everything is fine. Like when it goes, it just goes fast. It's crazy like that. I really hope they can get their get the recovery of the first stage down here soon, so they can actually start landing that and getting their turnaround time up quite a bit. Yeah,
it'll definitely make things a little more interesting. You know what I mean? And things
like
that.
And that's always been the goal. I mean, even going back to stuff like the X-33, that was one of the potential prototypes they're going to replace the shuttle with. My understanding is that was a problem with, I think it was like a composite fuel tank or something like that.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and it just it never worked out. But if they can get the Falcon 9 rockets to work out where they're recovering it all, I mean, that's pretty. That at the end of the day, that's going to help because you can recycle those things, and you'll be able to. You don't have to manufacture a new rocket every single time you use it.
Yeah.
Fill it back up, and it's obviously more complicated than just filling it back up with fuel and launching it again. But if you can get to that point, it's funny too. Like the whole barge thing. Like, you know what? Rather than waiting for FCC or FT or FDA clearance, not FDA, Federal Aviation Administration, FAA.
Yeah, FAA.
Rather than waiting for FAA clearance to land it in the U.S. and getting some flight plan and all this other Yahoo nonsense, we're just going to build a frickin' barge and land it in the middle of the ocean. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, I like that. That is a, rather than, it takes, space flight is hard. And we need a lot of money to make it happen. They're just saying, what do we need to do to make it happen? And they're making it happen. I mean, that's what's awesome about it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's the thing about the private industry. They thought of the idea, they thought it would work, and now they just put money into it and make it work. You know what I mean? And they don't have to keep going back and forth and him and hawing. It's like, is it actually feasible? It is? Okay, let's do it.
Well, and, someone, I know I've seen someone quote at him, like, Elon Musk doesn't have to be reasonable because at the end of the day, he can ask unreasonable things of the people he's having work for them, because at the end of it, they can leave and they can go somewhere else, or they can be part of something cool and innovative. And well, more often than not, people would rather work harder for a company that feel like it's actually accomplishing something than just, be part of some, yes, the government job with, the cozy bureaucracy where you just hang out and, not much is expected of you is great. But when not much is expected of you, you don't really accomplish very much either.
Right. Very true. Very true.
You basically choose to become something more than you can choose to do more than what's the actual minimum required.
Right. And that's the beauty of the private, like you say, the private industry when they do things, and that's why they always go farther. They're not afraid to, like you say, stop and redo things or just get rid of people. Not working out between us. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do that. Wash your hands and go.
That's not very nice of you to say about me.
Well, I was talking about you, but if I was talking to you, it'd have been meaner.
I already saw the letter. Wrangler got the official invite. I saw.
Well, it was handwritten.
He likes that, though.
No. Well, now that you're back, what about your Hawkeyes for the March Madness? What do you think?
Well, I think they...
they've got 10 wins, basically.
Aside from losing to Northwestern, they've done about the best of things they could have to play their way back in. I mean, they fell a crap here at the beginning of the Big Ten season, right? I mean, they looked great beforehand, kind of stumbled a little bit, but fell to crap at the beginning of the Big Ten. So they've pretty well won their way. They won the last 4 games in a row?
Yeah, aren't they like 10-6 now in the Big Ten?
That's correct.
Big
10? Yeah. So they looked fairly good the last few games doing it, but, I will 100% agree this is probably the 3rd best state university school in the state of Iowa this year. I don't think there's any even challenge that we're better than Iowa State or Northern Iowa, as we've already seen. So I don't have super high hopes about where this team's going to go. And honestly, if they go around in, I would be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I know they're, like I said, they're Big Ten, and they've got 10 wins, so they're pretty much guaranteed a spot. My guess is going to be in the mid-range between 8 to 13, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I see him as getting like a 12.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be the 10 to 13, but I really don't see him lower than a 13.
Not with the 4 wins. And I think that's the thing. If they would have lost to Illinois, I think that was the last one. Yeah. I could see that. I could see them being bottom.
But I seriously see him in that probably like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there is my guess. I don't know if you can win from there. I mean, you're going to be playing a 3, 4, 5 seed. So
yeah, probably a 5, and they've got it in. I mean, they've played big games before this year, and they've won those. Right, the North Carolina game was huge, and again, that was a pretty poor North Carolina team. Pretty poor.
Excuse me.
In bad state, but they still pulled it out, and it was pretty handily winning. And Iowa wasn't shooting very well either that night. It was still enough to win. This team has it in them to win, but again, I would be happy if they made it 1 round. I'm not expecting them to go 2, let alone 3. I just don't see that out of this team. I really don't. And I don't know that Northern Iowa has what it takes to go more than 2. they're a good, strong team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see them going much farther than 2 either. They're going to run into some big-time teams that play much more physically than they do.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. To be honest, out of them, I think Iowa State's the best team, and that's not because I just went there. I really do
No,
think they're the best.
I think Iowa State has the best balance of talent as far as being able to play perimeter game, to play man-to-man, and be able to play a strong zone defense in the middle. I think Iowa State has a better team of the 3 this year for that. Iowa has shown they have almost no ability to play post as they need it.
And they've shown that they can beat any team.
That's the important part.
But they just lost to Baylor and Kansas State, back-to-back.
Yeah, and that hurt them. That really
did.
They need one win out of those 2.
They still got Oklahoma and TCU, and Oklahoma beat them earlier this year. So they might get another loss. I don't know. And if they do that, I mean, I'm surprised they lost to both of them, back-to-back. It is what it is, I think if they would have won one of them and then finished out however they're going to do it the rest of the season, which I'm hoping they at least win one of them, they should win the TCU game pretty easily, at least. But I would have thought I would have put them in the top 5 seeds easy. Because they were ranked 12. Now I don't know. What are they going to drop them to? 18? 20? With 2 losses?
The other good thing is, do you even have enough teams in the conference for a tournament? I don't even know if you have enough teams to have one now. But like for Iowa and for Northern Iowa State, I mean, Northern Iowa has the most to lose at this point in the game. They can show up pretty poorly in how they play the rest of the season, and being a strong ranked all the way through the season, they have the most to lose. Iowa's had to play into it. Iowa State's been kind of up and down about 4 to 5 ranks as it's gone through most of the season. But Iowa only needs one decent showing in the Big Ten tournament. That's all they really need to really, really play it well. Same thing with Iowa State. That's all they really need is to get them going and moving. And it doesn't take much more to win. All you got to do is win 5 games. Is it 5 or is it 6 now? I can't remember what the extra round of shit they do now.
I don't remember. I know they're having the tournament, and I don't even know when the tournament is now that I'm thinking about it.
But and it's unfortunate. I see Northern Iowa being a team that's going to lose that first round. I don't know. I have that feeling like they're going to be. They have the most to lose from it, and I have the feeling they're just not going to go anywhere. And I'd like to see one of our 3 teams make it somewhere deep.
Yeah, like I said, I think Iowa State's got the best chance. Like I said, they got if Hoiberg if he can win the last 2 games and run them into the Big 12 tournament and they win, he's got him on the roll he needs.
Yeah, but they can't just go in gassed. They can't just lose their way into the Big 12 tournament.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what he's got to win. If he wants to have a run in the tournament. So we'll just see what happens. I mean, they've made some runs before with worse teams in the tournament.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really bad teams that have gone farther than you expect. There's been a lot of good teams that just don't make it either. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I like the basketball tournament. You can have one bad game, and you're out. So
that's why it's just going to be such an interesting month to watch. I don't think the NCAA, the football ever got that atmosphere. This whole 2-3 game worth of playoff madness that we tried to put at the end of the season. I don't think it got that way. As I watched a couple of games, I didn't feel like that.
I think it got partially the fact that football is already kind of that way. If you win a national championship bid, you pretty much lose a game, and you're at least in past years, so you're pretty much out as far as a national championship contender.
Yeah.
But I think with Ohio State winning it, especially, I think that it created more buzz than you think, because a lot of people are thinking Ohio State shouldn't even been in there. Should have been TCU or Baylor, things like that. And so here's this team that nobody even wants in, and they come through and win the games. It brought a little bit more than you think. I mean, with the chatter, especially the sports talk radio shows and things like that, they were talking about it a lot. So, and if they're talking about it, that's what people are listening to. So it's getting talked about.
I remember when I used to listen to late night sports talk radio. Fine time. I gotta say, especially the weekend hacks. The weekend hacks are the special great people. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about our fantasy football draft for this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
God. fantasy
actually just
football friends, man. They're a weird ilk.
oh,
I mean,
I
I
know.
lived with one, and she would even buy the freaking fantasy football guide and read through that. And I was like, somebody just needed an extra person in their league, so I said yes, and I'm gonna set the rosters twice, and I did it like 4 or 5 times. I think I quit after like week 6 or 7 last year, and then even then I was still like top 5. I'm like, this thing's fucking ridiculously easy. I'm like, you guys should play fantasy baseball if you really want to challenge.
Uh,
They're just a
it's all
different.
about, to be honest, fantasy football is a lot about just making sure that you don't have somebody who's not playing or not injured playing.
Oh, welcome
Make
to
sure,
fantasy
make sure your
baseball.
make sure your roster's filled.
Welcome to fantasy baseball. We have to reset this roster every day. The fantasy football dorks they wig out about it once a week or so on Wednesdays, but you don't get this nice consolidated report on ESPN about who's playing, who's not playing, who didn't beat up their girlfriend this week, who can't play, or who choked out their kid off camera. I mean, Major League Baseball, it's just like, well, some days you play, some days you don't play. That's just how it works. And there's days where you're hurt. There's days you're not going to play for 2 months. There's days where this guy's going to play crappily, and the managers are going to keep putting him on the field, so you can't afford not to play him. And then especially if you really want to challenge, you're really that big of a dork, play a defensive league in fantasy baseball, and then get back to me on how much you really like it.
I don't like fantasy baseball or basketball or football or I do
anything.
the fantasy NASCAR. No, fantasy NASCAR.
Like I
I
said,
do like it.
the one summer I played a defensive league in fantasy baseball was the worst experience of my life. As far as sports, being a fan of it. I mean, it ruined baseball so much. It's so hard. I mean, everybody pays attention to the hitting statistics, but fielding statistics are so boring and so dry. I mean, it's hard to get excited about that. And then you still have the dynamic of guys playing, not playing. So,
Well, and
especially
aren't fielding
Tuesday,
statistics just a
Thursdays.
function of like who got it hit from that day too?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even a matter of skill. Like they hit 20 balls over to the left fielder, and the right fielder didn't see any action all day. It's like, okay,
Yeah, it's really that's a whole different thing. Like, you have to be a huge boner.
I made a relay throw later that afternoon. Like, okay, good job.
That's worth 2 points in my league, But I remember playing in their entire games where I would never touch the ball, and I never wondered why kids thought baseball was boring. And I was playing at the time second base or third base. I think there might have been one game I didn't touch the ball at second, but at third base there were several games where I didn't touch a ball the entire game, other than just throwing it around between innings. And imagine trying to run a league of fantasy players that way. It's just even worse, because there are most definitely major league games where we don't ever touch the right fielder.
We had some pretty good pitchers who threw the ball pretty hard when I was going to high school. So at second base, I got a lot of action, which was nice because they were late swings. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
And then
I never
some
got
ladies,
bored.
too.
no, my mom wouldn't allow it.
I was a terrible baseball player. That's all there is to that.
Oh, well, I never said. I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't great.
I was terrible.
I was told I was terrible.
Well, that was your mom, though.
Oh, that was the coaching staff. My mom never said anything.
Your mom, she just came up. You're terrible. Why do you even play?
No, my mom had no clue what terrible was, so she wouldn't have told me if I was bad or not. Yeah, but if she knew, she would have told me, absolutely. But she had no clue what was bad and what wasn't. I mean, anything else I do, like decision-wise as an adult, they are more than happy to tell me you're a fucking idiot. But, baseball, they didn't really know. Well, I don't know, he's standing out there, he's dressed, that must be important. Oh, okay, well.
I got yelled at by my stepdad a lot. What the hell, boy? So,
Okay.
I get it.
I feel I shouldn't violate the vent chat rules of killing a good discussion, but I do have one more thing I want to hit on before we get the hell out of here, and we're already over, so kind of fuck it to a certain degree. But let's
I
talk
blame
about
Scott.
Yeah, let's talk about Spock dying. Scott, since we don't know when Scott's going to be around, if you're here, Scott, I'd like to your general thoughts on Spock suddenly dying. And suddenly, I mean, not surprising at all, but...
Weird. So, the weird thing about it is, I haven't thought about Leonard Nimoy as Spock for probably 20 years. Leonard Nimoy kind of took on this role of William Shatner, where he's like this own caricature of himself. He's not a character on TV. I don't see him that way. He's just a caricature of himself walking around who happened to be on TV. Nimoy had some very interesting things. Like, his Twitter account was actually pretty good to follow. Had a lot of interesting things to say over the years, but he was a very accomplished photographer, which people don't realize either, going back into the 60s and 70s. So I know him more for those kind of things and his weird sense of humor and his poetry and things like that. So it's
my
weird
memory
to
is
see.
his photography is kind of really weird. Like you,
Mhm.
I think you said like he had this like really goofy kind of subjects that he'd choose to
Yeah.
fixate on.
Yeah, and it just, again, he's just like the caricature of himself. He's just this weird little entity that is himself. And it's funny when I think about it, how many of the actors on the original cast have turned out that way, right? I mean, William Shatner is his own animal. And William Shatner is really a guy who I would love to sit down next to at a bar sometime randomly and not know that it was William Shatner, but still talk to this guy as William Shatner the whole time.
How
Because
could
I
you
think
sit by William Shatner and not know it's William Shatner? He's
well,
going to
you know
tell
what I
you
mean? Like, no,
as soon as you
no.
sit down.
But if you had no connection that he was famous or was on a TV show, just
He would
the
tell you.
entity. Yeah, but he would tell you. But you still like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't know. I never seen it. But just the entity of how he is and what he does, that would be interesting. But George Takei has like taken on this own like role of himself as well too, right?
I say like Sakai has become more of a caricature of himself than Nimoy ever did, because like Sakai has basically taken on this like, you know, what am I known for? Well, I was known for basically one line that I assume like the oh my thing wasn't meant to be this huge catchphrase, and then later in his life become coming out of the closet, and that's what George Sakai is known for these days. Carry on. Sorry.
No, I just he's just kind of this weird little thing, and that he, I think in a lot of ways tried to become Spock. He really did. Like, I don't know. It's sad to see him go. I don't know. I remember seeing the character on there, and the first realization I ever tried to connect the character of Spock with somebody being Spock was, I remember my parents had one of the Childing books written by Dr. Spock, which is not the same one. And I was completely lost in that like confusion of like, why would this guy on the Enterprise write a book about kids? That doesn't make sense. And I don't think that ever left my mind when I came to think of the man. Like, there are so many things like, why would you do that? Why would you? How does that make sense? And I will say though that the important thing is he mentioned too. He wished he had never smoked, and COPD is what killed him in the end. But he's not the first one of the crew to die. That's for darn sure.
No, it's been 3 others.
I mean, at this point, that cast has been amazingly long. We have to really think about it. Like the fact that I think it was DeForest Kelly who was the first one to die, and then Scotty. I forget what Scotty's real name was.
Jimmy Dugan, I think, or Dugan.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say I know Chekhov's had a couple brushes with death. I think he's had a couple of heart attacks, and
he had a heart attack or an aneurysm, something like that.
Yeah, I think he had a heart attack in like '88 or something. He wasn't relatively to the age of everyone else, but because I know he had he made a bunch of guest appearances on Babylon 5 as Bester. And apparently, like, the reason why he didn't show up, he was supposed to play, like, this one-shot character in, like, the 5th or 6th episode. And he couldn't do it because he just had a heart attack. And that was 94.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's still around. His son committed suicide a couple of years ago. Not that that has anything to do with this, but it was just kind of just random. Obviously, it wasn't random. It was obviously a choice made by the person, but... it's just kind of strange and like all those things. And I just compare it to like Babylon 5 where there are that many people who are already dead from that cast, and the show has been off the air for 20 years. Versus, the original Star Trek. Granted, there wasn't. You think about that entire original cast was all fairly young, relatively unknown actors. So I mean, it's not surprising that a bunch of people in their 20s live to be in their 80s for the most part.
Sure.
Maggiel Roddenberry was the other one who's died. I think.
I guess he was the first one, wasn't he? Roddenberry beat DeForest Kelley, didn't he?
Well, yeah, but Roddenberry was also older than everyone else.
Yeah, he was older when he.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he died in 90. I mean, Star Trek: The Next Generation was still on the air when he died. That was like 90 or some such. Yeah,
and DeForest Kelley he and Doohan were like older than the rest of the people in the show, if I remember right, too. Like another 10 years older. But, and Nichelle is still alive, too. Uhura.
Yes. Uhura's still alive, Chekhov is still alive, Sulu is still alive, Shatner is still alive, obviously. And you're a big Shatner fan. You loved him on Boston Legal, if memory serves.
I was a huge fan of him. Like I said, as an actor, just how he is. He'd be one of those I just love to sit and talk to. But he's not been without his own brushes with death and lost his wife to cancer, if I remember right. And, lots of, again, you live long enough, people around you die, and it becomes tragic. But no, Shatner is a wonderful actor. Don't forget, he did some other shitty TV shows in the 70s, too, right? And it wasn't...
T.J. Hooker.
Of course. Never forget those episodes.
As the sirens go off and honor T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
and even he laughs at it, which is the best part, But he, I don't know. I guess it's sad to see them go, but at this point, we really should be looking forward to the cast of TNG dying off.
Yeah, I mean...
Some of these people are not looking good.
I mean, like I've seen recent pictures of Patrick Stewart, and he's not a young guy anymore either. I mean, he was in his 50s when he was originally cast as Picard.
Well, and Brent looks terrible if you've seen him lately.
That's fine. Well, yeah, I mean, that was part of the reason why he gave up the roles Data in the in what's Insurrection or whatever the last horrible TNG movie was, is that he didn't look the part anymore, so they wanted to kill off the character. Which strikes me as strange, but I get the convoluted logic of it, but like it's not like they were making any more of these. It really wasn't going to come up.
Well, there was two. That was that whole premise of it. There were two of them.
Yeah.
And of course, we had to wind up with seeing both of them at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, we totally made sure that we could bring you back if we had to, but we decided that we're going to kill you off anyways, just for some symbolic reason. Like, okay, whatever. There was a Worf. Gosh, I forget what Worf's name is, but he's been trying to convince.
Dorn.
Yeah, Michael Dorn's been trying to convince Paramount for some time to basically make a Worf TV show.
Which is kind of a surprise because that they didn't go with Worf. Really, when they did DS9, that they didn't go with Worf.
They eventually did.
Right. Eventually, you ended up doing it. That's what you wanted to do, right? O'Brien was really not the guy to set this thing around.
But O'Brien's the perfect everyman. You're hard pressed to find a more average kind of guy in Star Trek, even though he's not average really in any way, because he's this basically miracle worker engineer who can do literally anything. But which is true of any Starfleet officer, of course. But I have all the knowledge of the universe that I need at this particular moment to solve whatever problem is in front of me.
But I will say he is a fantastic actor.
Michael.
So I'm not knocking him for that. Just the character of O'Brien.
Oh, O'Brien. Yeah, I was gonna say he's been in a bunch of other stuff.
He also stars in Hell on Wheels, and he is fantastic.
Okay, I remember he's in. I think he's in The Rock or one of those bad Nicolas Cage movies from. He's in Con Air. He's in Con Air as random FBI agent. It's kind of funny to see him in that. It's one of the other. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, Colomini, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, he does a bunch of. I've seen him do like serious kind of period drama too. You know, because when you need a random Irish/Scottish actor, because we all know they're interchangeable, so.
Yeah. I just. He was in Dick Tracy.
Was he? Oh, really? I don't.
He's a random cop. He's credited for that. I'm looking through his Wikipedia, which he is on there. He was in Con Air. He is DEA agent Duncan Malloy.
Okay, it was Con Air. Okay, my original intuition, or I guess because
I thought he was in The Rock too.
The Rock was the one with. Gosh, I'm blanking on the guy's name. The first James Bond.
He's also in Under Siege. Don't forget
Sean
that.
Connery.
Yeah,
Is that what
Sean
you're thinking
Connery.
about?
Yeah. The Rock's a great movie. I always loved The Rock. It's terrible, but it's great to watch. Like it's before Nicolas Cage really jumps the shark in madness levels.
He also was in Kenny Rogers' The Gambler Part 3, The Legend Continues.
Well,
I was hoping you were going to say Six Pack.
He was also Seamus Muldoon in The Magical Legend of the Leprechauns.
I
was a
remember.
shit
I
fest
remember.
had not seen.
That was an NBC show. Like a mini, like when NBC used to do those mini series every spring, like during sweeps. I remember that.
1999 Hallmark
Yes.
Entertainment made-for-TV fantasy movie series starring
Yeah,
Randy Quaid.
It was
One of
like
the
the winner
Leprechauns versus the Fairies or something like that.
Yes.
I remember that shit. That was
For whatever
bad.
fucking reason, Roger Daltrey lends his gifts to this shit fest, as does Whoopi Goldberg. There's so many things that make no sense about
Whoopi
that
Goldberg
show.
has been in a lot of crap.
I'm thinking we should do a live watch of that, like for one of our episodes from March.
Baron has invited us to partake in his next Riff Tracks outing. Which,
And what movie is it?
I think it's still in contention. I put one of the Leprechaun. I told him we should do Leprechauns in Space. Maybe
That's my favorite. Other than Leprechaun in the Hood, that's my favorite.
Oh God.
I have all of them. Don't worry.
We
Okay,
and
I will-
did a show and we watched Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah. It was,
Ooh,
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's better than H2O, but not by much.
no, it was pretty awful.
H2O
It was fun.
awful.
though. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was fun. So.
Yeah. So I will let you know when that's happening, and we'll. That was my suggestion to him, and he really liked it. So I don't know if that's going on for sure, but
Baron's in the chat going Friday the 13th and Leprechaun 1 is official.
oh, excellent. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
He
I'm
announced
pushing
it.
for
He
Leprechaun.
announced it tonight on Post and on Ghost in the Podcast.
oh, we're doing Leprechaun. Okay, cool.
I will do Leprechaun. Baron, I will win. I'll do Leprechaun.
So you
I'm
need
I
sorry.
to.
don't have a Shamrock Shake as I do it.
Now that I know Baron's in here, that was terrible. I would never do anything with him again.
Excellent. Okay, we need to wrap this up because I need sleep because I gotta get up and I need to get up and I know Scott needs to get up and Porkchop needs to go raid or something and work.
I
off.
need to go eat dinner.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, Scott. Since people haven't heard from you for a while, why don't you tell people like where they can get your your art and so forth and your photography? In honor of the death of Leonard Nimoy, you should tell people where they can see your photography.
You can find me on dichotomous.net/photo. Here again, at some point, I will be updating this. It's just on the never-ending list of things, but it falls somewhere down below like dishes, laundry, and clean up dog shit in the yard. So it's on there, but it's coming. But you can find things on there. I will have some other new things to update on there as well too at some point. So
Cool. And on Twitter, who your handle is?
I am Alvarado_Scott, if I remember right.
If you remember.
Yes. And
It
Porkchop.
really just hinges on whether I want you to find me.
Have any of your random like mechanics found you yet, or like other people in your office?
One of my mechanics has found me on Facebook. One of my other coworkers has found me on Facebook, but nobody has found me on Twitter.
You think that's because they're not hip with it yet, like the whole Twitters?
I don't know if they understand the powers of the Twitters.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. You need like a truck with Twitter integration, and then they'd be set, or a toolbox with a Twitter feed going on at all time.
Well, the company does have a Twitter account. They don't even. I don't think they even know they still have. There's like 15 posts to it from like 2 years ago, but the company does have one. So.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Porkchop, are you still doing stuff for? Is it Crit Hits or Event Chat? I forget where you said you were working for.
Oh, I do. I just do a little bit through Crit Heads. I did not do one for this week's show. It's been a little crazy with me at work, but I've been just doing like a little, maybe 3 minute bit that they just throw in the middle somewhere. And you can check them out at thecritheads.com. It's just guys talking about gaming and life and, whatever they want to talk about. They've been playing games recently, Life is Feudal and H1Z1. So while they're podcasting,
and we've had Rudy on from Crit Heads.
Yes.
We should get. I was gonna say we have a whole list of people we want to get on. It just everyone's busy. Nobody wants to do a show on Sunday night for some odd reason. I don't know. Crazy, right?
Walking Dead is killing us. I'm telling you.
There probably is a strong fact. We'll do our next 2 shows, and then we'll. Because I bet Jag watches Walking Dead, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
All of them do. I think I'm probably the only one in.
I don't either. So
doesn't.
Yeah. So you and I are like the only. Like you and I are just sitting in chat here before the show starts. Like, where is everybody? I don't know.
I'm actually in favor of doing a Walking Dead show next year to start the season up, since there's so many of us on the network that do love the show so much in comics. So.
Yeah, I mean, between the network and the communities we're all tied into. I mean, I'm sure we could wrestle up a couple of people and put a show together.
I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard. I'm sure people are going, man, why didn't I think of that already?
Exactly. And if you want to hear, since we're all talking about our side projects, my current side project, I do video game book reviews for the Eviscerated Gaming podcast, which is Resident Evil's podcast, him and Cold and Non-Mail. And you could I've been meaning to put together a feed of those episodes, but until I do, you just listen to their show and you could hear it. And Nav AH Attic also does stuff for them, and Esmeralda Sky. So we have been contributing stuff to their show for quite a while. And if you like random electronic music, Cold is apparently a master DJ somehow. I don't know. It's not my thing. I know it's not Rez's thing, and I know it's not Non-Mail's thing, but Gold is really into the electronic music. So
yes, he is. He has his own SoundCloud where you can go and check out all the music he's made.
It's Electronic Education is, I believe, the handle for it. And there's a Twitter hand. If you look on Twitter, you look up Electronic Education, you can find it. And if you want to know anything about the show, follow us Farfield Cast on Twitter. I usually try to make a post about midweek when our next episode's going to be. Next episode will be September 15th, nominally about 9:10 probably. If this week is any guidance on how long it takes us to get going after Walking Dead is over. So, and check out me. That's Nev, not me. So, just Grandel Podcast on Twitter or Sayomara on Twitter. Check out the other fine shows on the network. As we mentioned, Baron Von Gosu is on our network, or in our channel, and he is the host of Ghost in the Cast. We have the RivalCast. We have BGM. We have Sheep Moon. Sheep Moon's going to be kicking off their Tournament of Epicness here this coming Tuesday, which should be the 3rd. Let's call it the 3rd. WoW Uncensored. And we have On Tap, which is our new Friday night show where they talk about various subjects. That's hosted by Baroness and Killer McCoy, Edge. So they tell me they should have a feed up for that soon, which is really what I'm waiting for to actually listen to it. So, and if you want help with the station, use the Amazon link. Anything else, gentlemen?
Not for me.
Cool. That's all I got. 73s, everybody.